There's a lot of concern surrounding LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers right now. Since restarting the season in Orlando with an impressive win over the Clippers, the Lakers have been bad. And that's really an understatement. Right now, this team is playing its worst basketball of the season. Since the restart, and I compiled these stats before Saturday night's game against the Pacers, in which the Lakers lost again. Since the restart, the Lakers are the worst offensive team in Orlando, scoring a shade under 96 points per 100 possessions. Now, to put that number into perspective, it is 10 points lower than the next worst team, which is the Toronto Raptors. And I excluded the Wizards from all of that because the Wizards are god-awful and they shouldn't have been invited to Orlando to begin with. So, Lakers fans are concerned right now. This team looks terrible. Frank Vogel is trying to stay positive, saying things like, we're just missing shots. These guys have made shots all season. We will get out of this funk that we're in. And he's absolutely right. I agree with Frank Vogel. I wouldn't really be overly concerned about this shooting slump that the Lakers find themselves in. All NBA teams go through this at some point during the season. You just hope that it doesn't transition into the playoffs. You want to get out of this right now. Try and figure a way out of it during the regular season. The big problem right now with the Lakers is their three-point shooting. LA came into the bubble shooting 35% from the three-point line. Now, if you look at every other metric since the restart, it's pretty much in line with what we saw from the Lakers in the first 63 games. But the three-point shooting since they have arrived in Orlando has been dreadful. 25% against the Raptors, 21% against Oklahoma City, 11% against Houston Thursday night. The Lakers are 23.4% from three since the NBA restart, and that is the worst percentage in a 5-game stretch by any team in the history of the NBA. Now, oddly enough, the 2 games that the Lakers shot well from three, their normal percentage or close to it, against the Jazz and the Clippers, they won those games. So, like I said, the three-point shooting is the primary problem right now. The reason that the Lakers, or one of the reasons that the Lakers are losing these games. Now, here's why I wouldn't be too concerned about it. It's not like the Lakers' offense has become 100% stagnant. No ball movement. Lakers are taking and missing a lot of contested three-point shots. That's not the case. The Lakers right now, they are missing wide open threes. Take Danny Green, for example. He came into Orlando shooting 36.6% from beyond the arc. 5 games in Orlando, he is 4 of 20. And you start to wonder if it's gotten to his head. He took 0 3-pointers against Houston and 25 minutes on the floor Thursday night. That is not what you want to see from one of the players that you rely on to make three-point shots. That's the primary reason that he's on the court. But if you dig into it a little bit further, you find that Danny Green is 2 of 11 on wide open threes. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, same thing. He was shooting 41% on wide open three-pointers before they got to Orlando. Since arriving in the bubble, he's 2 of 9. This is fixable, and Frank Vogel really doesn't need to do anything to solve this problem. There's only one way to get out of a shooting slump, and that's to keep on shooting. And it's not just Danny Green and KCP that's struggling. Both LeBron and Anthony Davis have been less than stellar offensively. They've combined for 26 turnovers in 5 games. Really 4 games since LeBron sat against Houston. Neither have been what I would call great on the offensive end. Although AD did have a great game against Utah when he went off for 42 points. But besides that, Anthony Davis has been the definition of inconsistent. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. These games are meaningless. They came into Orlando essentially guaranteed the number 1 seed. The Lakers aren't really trying. And I would agree with that. Actually, I do agree with that. But the Lakers, they really needed this 8-game regular season to build some team chemistry. I think what we're seeing right now with the Lakers is a team without an identity. And I mean this mainly with the second unit. The loss of Avery Bradley's tough, especially on the defensive end. But when Rondo was injured in practice last month, I came on here and I told you guys that this was a devastating blow to the Lakers. I told you that Rondo's leadership could not be replicated and it can't be replaced. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, especially with the Lakers' second unit, their bench players. LeBron has even made reference to Rondo's absence, saying that there is no continuity with the Lakers' bench. Unfortunately for the Lakers, 8 games is not enough to build that continuity with the new guys they brought in. That rapport that you need to win playoff series. See, Rondo was a luxury for Frank Vogel. He could sit Anthony Davis or LeBron or sit them both. And Rondo could step in and be that floor general. That is a priceless luxury to have. It's one of the reasons I think Rondo is one of the more underrated players in the NBA. Now, when LeBron and or Anthony Davis are on the bench, the Lakers completely fall apart. They look like a team that lacks leadership, which is exactly what they are without LeBron on the floor. If I'm a fan of the Lakers, my concern isn't just about the offensive struggles. I think those will be solved once the playoffs start. I do believe that some of the Lakers' struggles offensively have to do with a lack of motivation. These games don't really mean anything. But if I'm a fan of the Lakers, if I'm Rob Pelinka or Jeannie Buss, I would be more concerned about the future and the possibility of losing Anthony Davis in the next year or two, or maybe possibly this offseason. Now, before all you Lakers fans light me up in the comments section and tell me I'm an idiot for even speaking such blasphemy, just hear me out for a second. First of all, LeBron said something interesting the other day when he was asked about the Lakers' struggles. He insinuated that the problems in Los Angeles extend beyond just being in a shooting slump, beyond just missing Rondo. Here's what LeBron said, quote, "It's just some things that you can't control that's here, that I really don't want to talk about, that's off the floor," end quote. Now this could mean anything. Maybe the team is struggling in the environment down in Orlando, not playing in front of fans, and it's affecting their play on the court. LeBron could be talking about personal issues. Or he could be alluding to the fact that there are serious problems in the locker room right now. I don't know. We don't know. The playoffs this year, though, are critical for the Lakers. I know there's been hardly no mention of Anthony Davis leaving Los Angeles at this point, not re-signing with the team, but that is not guaranteed. There have been some rumors about him not re-signing long-term, but it's mostly been speculation. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to sign long-term with the Lakers. I'll get to that in just a second. Anthony Davis has stated on multiple occasions, and Lord knows, we got sick and tired of hearing this his last couple of years in New Orleans, but he has stated on multiple occasions that the only thing that matters to him is winning championships. AD at this stage of his career is less concerned about money. His primary goal is winning titles, plural. Not just one, multiple titles. He wants to establish a legacy. He wants to be a multiple-time champion. I've been saying all season that it's going to be Lakers-Clippers in the Western Conference Finals, but now that could be in jeopardy. What if the Lakers continue this slump, continue underperforming into the playoffs? I'm telling you right now, if the Lakers continue this downward spiral, they are not beating a team like Portland in the first round, assuming the Blazers clinch the 8th seed. The Blazers are tough. This team is finally healthy for the first time since last season. I do think that we are going to see a different Lakers team once the playoffs start. Anthony Davis has been wildly inconsistent down in Orlando. But I think that motivation has a lot to do with his terrible play. Once the playoffs start, I think Anthony Davis will return to his all-star form. But is that going to be enough to beat a team like Portland in the playoffs? My biggest concern with the Lakers has been the same concern that I have said since the beginning of this season. They don't have any depth. Now, they're down Rondo. They're down Avery Bradley. They bring in J.R. Smith as a replacement. Come on. There's no comparison between Rondo and Avery Bradley and J.R. Smith. If the Lakers do beat Portland or whoever clinches the 8th seed, that's not going to be enough for Anthony Davis. He came to Los Angeles to win titles. The Lakers are looking at a second-round matchup right now between either Houston or Oklahoma City. Again, two tough matchups for this team, especially the Rockets, who the Lakers struggle to defend. And like I've said all season, if they do make the Western Conference Finals, they're not beating the Clippers. LeBron James is getting older. Well, he's not getting older. LeBron is old. The Lakers as a team are old. One of the older rosters in the NBA. Anthony Davis, on the other hand, he's only 27. I know him and LeBron are tight. They're Goombas. I know he enjoys playing with LeBron. But if the Lakers don't win a title this season, which they won't, do you really think this roster gives Anthony Davis the best chance to win a title in 2021, 2022? The Western Conference is full of young, up-and-coming teams. New Orleans, Denver, Utah, Phoenix. Then you have strong veteran teams, the Clippers, the Rockets, Portland. These teams all have years left of prime basketball, of competing for championships. While Anthony Davis is sitting on a Lakers team with a roster full of players eyeing retirement. The Lakers' title window is razor thin. I think Anthony Davis signing a long-term extension with the Lakers after this season is out of the question. It's not going to happen. If he does decide to stay in LA, and I think he will, it's only going to be on a 1 or 2 year contract. One thing working in the Lakers' favor is no one knows what the salary cap is going to look like next season. Everyone is assuming that it's going to decrease, which would work in the Lakers' favor in keeping Anthony Davis. But it also hurts their chances improving the roster in free agency. They're paying LeBron nearly $40 million next season. They're going to have to pay Anthony Davis probably the same amount or close to it, maybe more. The Lakers were already $13 million over the salary cap this year, so they're not going to have the money to sign the help they need to win a championship. My point is, if the Lakers don't prove that they can compete for a championship this season, possibly next season, I just can't see Anthony Davis staying in Los Angeles long term. And that is what I would be concerned about if I were a fan of the Lakers. The shooting slumps, the offensive struggles, that will be fixed. But the Lakers don't have a championship roster right now. And if they can't figure a way out to build one and fast, Anthony Davis is going to be gone. Which means the Lakers would have mortgaged their future of Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, Josh Hart for a 2, maybe 3 year run with LeBron and Anthony Davis. All right, that's all for today. Smash that like and subscribe button for me. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Leave me a comment in the section below. With the Lakers struggling in Orlando, is there a cause for concern? Do you think that this is a championship caliber roster right now? Let me know your thoughts. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. If you have any questions, a topic you'd like me to discuss, you can email me at BTLKC84@gmail.com. I will see you guys next time.